Hi guys, it's Steve and this is a video on background and attention to details when setting a scene. I'm very new to Toon. If you haven't checked my last video, give it a watch. And yeah, I'm going to show you very quickly where I got to, and then we'll sort of rewind from there. So yeah, here we go.
Good morning, YouTubers, and welcome to Hunting 101. This is your man Hank, and we're bringing you all the latest tips and tricks to help you bring down that next elk, or even your ex-wife. Hey, I don't mind. Let's get right to it. Okay, so yesterday we brought down a massive moose, and this is going to be... What the... God damn it, Arlene. I thought I told you to keep the freaking deer sedated.
So that was the video, and very happy with it overall. There's a few mistakes in there for sure, and I'll talk through those as well, but I kind of want to go back to the beginning and show how I've gotten to this point. It's taken a couple of weeks, like I said. This isn't a full-time thing. This is something that I do as a hobby, so it's not always as easy to spend a lot of time on this. But yeah, I'd say altogether so far this has been about 20 hours work, and considering that I knew nothing of Toon Boom at the beginning of that 20 hours, I'm very happy with the progress so far. So yeah, let me talk you through just some of the little bits. I've noticed here, for example, this is a layer that I don't know how I missed it when I was recording this. But yeah, this shouldn't be there, so that should be deleted. The other thing I noticed was that this line's a little bit out, so I'd probably redraw that at some point. And the stairs look a little bit out, so I'll probably redraw that as well. And I'm hoping to save these scenes and these backdrops and create sort of a library that I can just pull in and make sure that I make the most of the work that I put in, because yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's great. It's really fun. So the other thing I did was animate the fish. You'll see if I scroll across, I just did a little loop animation just to show him floating in the water. That's the kind of guy this guy is. With the actual deer on the wall, it's all frame by frame, so separate drawings. When we get to here, I draw new drawings for each frame, and then yeah, new drawing with a mask around the hole. So that's the same drawing with just a little bit of use of a peg, and then you can see there that's a new drawing there. And then I just used some standard animation just to make it look like he was galloping. Rigged up those wires so that I could freely manipulate those flying around up there. And yeah, there's a few things that I'm not happy with in terms of particularly the lip syncing. I think I need to redraw some mouths. I've only got 8 at the moment, and I'd like to have more in terms of, there were certain sounds that I couldn't get out of the 8 mouths essentially, and I guess that's just going to happen with the trial and error. I know now which sort of mouths I would like to have, shapes to have for those pronunciations. So yeah, it's been a steep learning curve, and I've really enjoyed it. So I'll take you back to the first video I did, which was in the video 1, which was this, and I spent a lot of time, maybe 3 or 4 hours, just getting all this right. So head movements, you know, expressions, and the lip syncing. So if you're interested in that, head over to the first video I did. Night 2, you can see I actually started to work on the background, but I wasn't happy at all with it. It just didn't feel right. So I came away, I started to Google Rick and Morty screenshots, believe it or not, and just kind of see how they draw their scenes. And I started to realize, okay, there needs to be a bit more depth in the scene. So I took a look at some perspective drawing, and this was my first stab at it, and I wasn't happy with this either. I was really... Granted, it looks a little bit slapdash, and some of the lines again just don't run very well at all. And some of this was done really quickly, as you can see. So it felt like I was making progress, but I still thought that I could do a lot better. So this is the first indication that we were the first time I felt like I was making good progress in terms of the depth. So I haven't added any of the detail in the carpets yet, or I haven't really looked into this deer that much. It was a very quick drawing that I did, but this is pretty much the same. And I think at this point I did have the animation for the fish, yeah, and the mouths and everything else going on. So this was good progress. I felt really good after doing that. This took about another maybe 2 or 3 hours to do this bit. And then on night 5, we went with some lighting and some additional detail to the rug and the carpet, and obviously we fleshed out the deer a little bit more. And one thing that I've started to notice again just through doing it is the detail is what brings the scene to life. It's the more props you use, the more subtlety you use throughout the artwork is what really gives it the depth, and you can start to get away with more. So here I've noticed that this isn't quite right, so that needs looking at, and I'm sure you guys can probably find a lot more as well if you were picking holes in it, and if you do, let me know if there's something that just looks off to you. I'm looking to improve all the time, so yeah, I've really enjoyed it so far. So we'll move on to night 6, which was the one that I showed you now, and you can see that he's fully rigged up. This appeared out of nowhere, no idea where that is. We'll find that in the layer in a minute when I go through. But yeah, really happy with it. So yeah, let's dive straight into the Toon Boom software, and I'll show you how this all looks. You can ignore the node view. It's not something that I've really paid any attention to yet. It's going to be, because I'm going to rig up the rest of this character in my next video, so a full turning rig essentially is my next port of call with this character. So yeah, we'll be diving straight into the node view. I've got 5 days left on the trial, so I'm hoping to get that done in the next 5 days, and then I'll be able to put a video out next week on that, and if it goes well, I'll pay for the subscription. So in here it's quite messy, but we'll just work through it from top to bottom. So at the top I've got all my sound. I've got scrubbing on, so it should.
Good morning,
yeah. So we've got our test is the layer with the actual vocal on. So that's, sorry, no, it's this one. This has got the voiceover on. Test was the old voiceover. Yeah. So it's on mute at the moment, so you can ignore that layer. And then as we get further down the timeline, we've actually got other effects happening, and these are pretty much when things are happening with the deer. So you can see this one here is for the grunting, and I use a free website for all this, so I'll put it in the link. I'll put the link in the description. Essentially, you just type in whatever you're looking for, free sound effects. It's great for just adding these little bits in. So yeah, we've got a horse grunting, and then we've got obviously the galloping, which kicks in a little bit later here. When we get to here, he's obviously set off, and then the crash is here. So this, which is all. So once all that's mixed, and to be honest, in hindsight, I'll probably mix that in Logic to be for future, and then import it as a single file. I think Toon Boom's great for the animation side of things, but it's not that great at mixing audio. I found it really unintuitive to use lots of audio files and try and get them to take up, you want to master your track before you put it in, really. So yeah, in future I will probably build the audio files in Logic and then import them as a single audio file. So what have we got in here? We've got a lot of clutter, so do forgive me. We've got the computer in the foreground. So this contains obviously the actual desk and the computer, and that's in the foreground for obvious reasons. I don't want, my guy is not finished at all. This is what I've got so far. So that arm is rigged, so I'll run you through that arm in a second. His head, I did start working on a side profile, but it's not finished yet, so that's going to be part of the turning rig, so that's just turned off for now. So this is his head, and it's got all the individual left pupil, right pupil, the stuff we talked about in the last video, so I won't go into too much detail. The new things, though, are the arm, is the arm, should I say. So I have a bone on the right arm, which is here. If I hide the computer, it's going to be easier to see it. But yeah, I've got a bone in here. If I show the transformation, I've got a shoulder joint, an elbow joint, and it goes all the way down, and it just allows me to, flex it around and without redrawing frames and whatnot, but I'll just undo that so we can see it properly. And then moving down even further, we've got the lights and the shadows and everything all quite far back. So they're the windows on the floor, and that's the light coming in. And all that is just a gradient essentially from the left to the right, and with an opacity set. So it really basic things. None of these are, I'm sure there's so many better ways to do what I'm doing, but I find from my own experience of learning, the way I learn is just to figure it out and just go and just crack on with it. But yeah, if you do have any suggestions, then please leave a comment. So going down, the thing that I really wanted to touch on was the deer, because once I'd got the background and the depth and everything, I was really happy with that. But I wanted something to happen in the scene, because at first the audio was obviously welcome to Toon, we're just testing out lip syncing, blah, blah, blah. But when I actually built this scene, I thought, let's do something a little bit different. So I only had the fishbowl, the books, the table and the lamp and the deer. So I just thought of the deer walking out the wall. And the only reason I animated it was because I thought that would be quite challenging to animate. And it turns out it was, and I think I could do it better if I was to do it again, which is the aim of doing this. But essentially I have a deer. His pupils are in here, which do have a lot of timestamps on, so well, keyframe should I say, because I wanted him to wake up. I'll just turn off scrubbing and we'll zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're looking at. But yeah, I wanted this like idea of him waking up and being like, where the hell am I? Without having to animate too much, without so much going on. So I got away with about 200 frames of animation with just eye movement and blinking and, you know, waking up. So I thought that was okay. And then as we move forward, sorry, let's just get to where all the action happens. So as we came in here, I drew new drawings. So as you can see, the cracks start to come through. And so each one is a new drawing. It's not, you know, it's just old-fashioned animation in that sense. And then once I'd finished, once that happened, you can see like new drawing, new drawing, new drawing, and then where are we? Yeah, so we have the deer head, the right eye, the left eye, the pupils, and then we've got debris. Don't know where they're going. Debris, so they're not showing yet, because when I redrew it here, I wanted the debris to fall off just for that little bit more continuity of what had just happened. And I might go back in and even do some falling off the wall and things like that. But yeah, so those are just, you know, sorry, not the pegs. But yeah, they're just the pieces that I wanted to peg so that I could move those off like that, you know, so he's running. And yeah, it was quite challenging. It took quite a while to do this bit, and I really struggled with the masking, and I don't know whether any of you guys know a better way to do it, but I have definitely not done it very well. It just wouldn't work for me, the masking. I tried to draw this shape and thought it might work like Photoshop and things like that, or any other masking, you know, any design software that I use for work, where a mask is basically a shape that you say, don't show anything outside the shape, you know, just show inside that shape. And it just wasn't working at all. So what I had to do in the end was create like a wall layer, which is basically in the foreground is this color with that hole in and that background. And that background's behind. So if you can imagine it in a 3D space, you've got your wall, your deer, the background. So there's 3 layers almost sat on top of each other there, and this layer just has a hole in it, which is less than ideal, but it works, and that's the main thing. But yeah, I will look into doing that more, because I can see that being a big problem if I had something more complex to animate. Yeah, it just wouldn't really work very well. But for this, it's fine, and I'm pretty happy with how it ended up. Added a little bit of animation on the wires. I just put a bone in there just so I could move them really easily. There's a little glitch here. That's how it should have looked. So this, and for some reason I've just missed it. Essentially, there must be something ending, and it's going to be this here, this layer. So whole front, and I just forgot to leave it on, so it disappears. But yeah, that should still be there, and then it just goes. So that's a mistake. But yeah, you don't notice these things until you watch it 15 times over and over again, and you're picking holes in it. But it'd be good to find this. We'll delete that because that's an error. And yeah, I hope you found it really useful. I know this isn't much a tutorial video as it is a video about my own experience so far with using Toon Boom and my own journey into what is going to make this scene come to life a little bit. But if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. And yeah, I hope the next video will be a fully rigged character. That's what I'm hoping, but I'm not going to say tomorrow like I did in the last video, because it's a lot more time consuming than I thought this was ever going to be. And I've enjoyed it all the same. So I'm going to say a week away for the next video, and what I'll do for it is I'm going to look at rigging a character turn, at least his head. I'm not sure how complex the body will be. This is all unknowns for me, so I'll just keep checking in as I make more and more progress, and hopefully you'll see my animation style come on a little bit, and you'll see my character develop over time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to your suggestions and things like that. Any help is always appreciated. So yeah, have a good week, and thank you for tuning in. Bye.